Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to VALORANT News. Masters Copenhagen in front of a crowd underway for the first time. It's absolutely beautiful to see. Some great matches yesterday as well. My predictions once again completely wrong, as we shall dive into here over the coming minutes. But further exodus of teams, especially in the North American side, starting up in APAC as well. But many organizations continuing to leave VALORANT. What does that mean for other teams trying to practice ahead of the LCQ? That's a big storyline as well. And Sentinels confirming another analyst joining their ranks. Very much intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thanks very much indeed for doing that one. Look at this footage as well from the crowd right here. Beautiful to see. I think there were some issues. There was like some sort of crane. I think this like viewing crane here on the right hand side, or the camera crane, was blocking a load of people's views. But they had enough screens that hopefully they can make up for that one. Now look, two further teams yesterday. Every day it seems at this point we're going to get further announcements from organizations that are going to pretty much pull out of Valorant. Now BBG confirmed, built by gamers, that they're not going to pull out of Valorant necessarily. They think it has a bright future. They believe they can still stick around, but they did confirm that they didn't get selected for the international leagues, the partnership leagues. Partners and franchising are different, right? This league that Riot are trying to do is not quite the same as the franchise league that Activision have introduced for, let's say, OWL, Overwatch League, or the Call of Duty League. Like the partnership league effectively is the teams, when they get selected, they can't sell their spots. They're just, partners, right? They can't like leave, they can't sell their spot or whatever. So it is slightly different. They don't have to pay money. There's no buy-in per se to enter. So there are some differences, but the results might be the same, where you get still leagues of teams that are effectively, there's no promotion relegation type stuff as well. So it's probably going to have its positives, especially maybe for stability of the organizations, but it does carry an array of negatives as well, especially because right now the tier 2 scene is so up in the air. BBG are saying, look, we don't really know what we're going to do here. We might just have to pull out going forwards. And complexity, this in fairness was expected, but also massive news as an organization as large and as historic as complexity. Look, they're going to have to effectively pull out, right? They've made the difficult decision to partially exit Valorant, as they say here, for the time being. They've tried their best here, right, to build a decent team. Really hasn't worked out that well for them, and now they find themselves in a spot where they're not even getting accepted into the partnership league, which makes sense, but there's nothing really they can do at this point other than just to dip out of there until, I suppose, Riot's come out and say, actually, we've got a good idea about how we're going to run our tier 2 scene, because as even Clayster says, Call of Duty Pro, because many teams were leaving here, that of course Clayster's seen it as well in Call of Duty League, for example, that a lot of these franchise leagues, this isn't technically franchise, but as I say, the effect of it might be rather similar, that it just obliterates the tier 2 support for the scene. Now some scenes, some league owners, league runners might well have a much better idea of how to actually do that than Activision Blizzard have done, let's say, in the Call of Duty League and the Overwatch League. So I am more optimistic in the future here, but it does make it super difficult for players down there, and I'm sure there's a lot of concern right now within those players and the teams that are pulling out. Even Dark Zero was confirmed yesterday. We looked at the rumors, but Dark Zero confirmed they're leaving as well, so their players now are free agents. They're looking for other opportunities. They don't know what they're going to be able to do. It's difficult to find the sustainable ecosystem right now. Clarky actually does say, esports veteran, that one of the ideas here for some of these players could be going the collegiate route, right? This is something that players have done in Call of Duty actually since the CDL has come into effect. Players going to college and getting sponsorships through college to be on their Call of Duty teams, right? So a lot of, college COD is starting to be a bit of a thing. And if college COD's a thing, I'm sure that college Valorant is a thing. So this is an option for some players to go to college, get a degree alongside getting a lot of it paid for, if not all of it, by being a very good player on their teams. Now in Call of Duty, this went a little bit wrong, you could argue, because there were former world champions, if you guys follow Call of Duty, there's a guy called Silly. He actually was a world champion in 2018. He went to college and got his entire college, I think, funded for, because he was a college COD player, right? So I think a lot of the collegiate guys in the collegiate Call of Duty League were like, I've got a second here, we've got to play against this world champion week in, week out, because this is the only way he can realistically get funding, because now he's no longer good enough to actually be in the Pro League, so he was in the Challengers League, in the 2nd division, and that was in such a bad state that the only way he could actually get funding was to do the collegiate route, right? So hopefully it won't be as bad as that in Valorant, let's just say, but that just goes to show the state of some of these franchise leagues. Now, one of the implications actually here further is that, half the scrims that were going on, is as Mike says right here, so one of the analysts, I think, or the assistant coach actually says in his bio, 400 Thieves, that pretty much all of their scrims right now are getting cancelled. So all of the teams that are trying to go to the last chance qualifier, they've got to practice against someone, right? The LCQ is coming up at the start of August. They've got to scrim against someone, and who do they scrim against? They can't really scrim against the teams that are right now out there in Masters Copenhagen. They can't play against their own LCQ teams, because you don't want to play a team that you might play in a couple of weeks' time and give anything away. You want to play the teams in the second division, the complexities, the BBGs of the world, these squads that have now pretty much just all been dropped. So that's the thing. A lot of these teams that were scrimming are now no longer there anymore. So it's creating a disaster for the teams at the LCQ that now can't even practice. As Shopify Rebellion Dazzle says, formerly LG Dazzle, says need practice for the LCQ, but 90% of the organizations not in the LCQ that we can practice versus just got dropped or are getting dropped. So there's no practice to be had right now for the teams that want to go to the LCQ. As he goes on to say, situation sucks for everyone, can't practice split versus anyone either because it's out of the map pool for anyone not in LCQ happy time. So this is also a key deal, is that of course split's being removed from the map pool ahead of the World Championship in September, whatever it is. They're removing split and bringing Pearl in instead, but for the LCQ, split is still there. So there's no one right now that you can play split against apart from LCQ teams because no one else has it in their map pool anymore. So but LCQ teams don't want to play each other because they could then match up at the event and use things that they learned from scrims against each other. So it's an absolute mess, to be honest. And I think a bit of foresight from Riot could have potentially prevented some of this stuff from happening. But look, speaking of the Sentinel side real quick, of course, they're trying to get their practice in at their boot camp that's going on right now. They confirmed that Danny is back on the team. He actually subbed in briefly, if you guys remember, against OpTic a couple of months ago now. Danny came into the team actually briefly. Honestly, he had a nice clip. I think this was a particular clip where Danny was kind of frying these guys. Of course, OpTic right now, we'll talk about how they're getting on at Masters in just a second here. But yeah, Danny's going to return to the team as their analyst. I think ShahZaM, I'll share a couple of words here from ShahZaM where he says, look, this Danny guy, one of the smartest guy I've ever spoken to about the game of Valorant.
Danny is by far one of the smartest people that I've ever spoken to about the game. Yeah, analysts supposed to understand the game, analyze the game at a top level, understand it, and present that to the team.
Speaking of Sentinels, again, they gave an awful lot of credit to PaperX. As TenZ says, PaperX still my favorite team to watch. Just the way they play makes it so entertaining. And wow, were they playing at top tier Valorant yesterday? This honestly might be like teams might have to look at PaperX after this tourney, especially if they go on to win it and say, well, maybe this is the actual meta that we have to go for. Now, I think even Chet said, that being the OpTic coach the other day, that you can't really copy PaperX because their players are just designed to play this type of way. If you try and copy their strategies, copy the way they play Valorant, you don't have the players for it. Like, you just can't make it work, right? It's very specific, that playstyle, to their individual players. But I mean, when it worked, it's absolutely phenomenal to watch, as TenZ certainly agrees with. Game one here, PaperX just turn up against OpTic. This is on the Haven. OpTic, they won the pistol. They won a lot of pistols in this series. They went up 2-0. They won the kind of the conversion. And then they just got absolutely steamrolled after that. They went from 2-0 up to, I think it was a 13-3 loss. They lost the next, 13 out of the next 14 rounds, which was just absurd. PaperX just completely took over. This ace as well here from Forsaken. The crowd was chanting like ace, ace, ace. It was great to see everything happen in front of a crowd once again. And from a 2-0 advantage for OpTic, it immediately becomes 13-3 for PaperX. So that was ridiculous. But OpTic, in fairness, and then it was going to a bind, right? And I was like, okay, well, hang on a second here, guys. It's going to bind where PaperX are incredibly comfortable, and a 9-3 half advantage here for PaperX was swiftly converted. But I mean, Ye turned up on this second game, and PaperX just got destroyed on bind. Very rare to see. OpTic seemed to be incredibly well prepared for what PaperX would bring into the party here. They seem to be at times, PaperX, slightly less, I don't know, they seem to slightly commit a little bit less. It felt like they were getting a little bit like, oh, we're almost here, we're almost through to the finals, and slow down a little bit on some of the times where you wouldn't expect them to slow down. But I mean, they didn't slow down when it came to the map 3 of the series, and they just completely steamrolled OpTic on Fracture. This happened the other day to OpTic, in fairness, up against DRX. This is one of their massive staples, actually, this map during their Masters 1 run in Reykjavik that they won. They were so good on Fracture. But PaperX just absolutely bring it to them, right? I mean, on the defense as well, and on the attack. Like, I was thinking PaperX's attack here was going to be so good. Just the way they play on Fracture just makes it. I thought that OpTic had to have a great attacking half if they wanted any chance here. They didn't, and therefore the series was swiftly over. PaperX, the first team confirmed through to the grand finals. I don't think OpTic quite played to their potential, but if PaperX are playing like this, it's very difficult to see a team that can actually stop them. They may rematch OpTic in the grand finals, but we'll see what prediction I make in a second here, because whatever it is, it's almost certainly going to be wrong. Ethan was giving a lot of credit to their team play as well, saying their solo players are great, but their team play, that is really what separates them from the rest. And as FNZ says, onto lowers, just following the script. That's kind of the key thing for OpTic. I think this happened to them before, where they dropped down to losers, then they won their 2 losers games, or they won their losers finals, went to the grand finals, won that as well. So it's not over yet for OpTic. They can still do this. They've done it before, but I think it's only going to get harder playing a team like FBX, we'll discuss here in a second. But yeah, PaperX 2-1 over OpTic Gaming. Another good series from Ye, but honestly, the players that are being made, I mean, Forsaken especially is so good to watch, but the entire team is absolutely phenomenal right now. The second series was Fnatic FPX. These guys, a lot of experience playing in region. Like, I was talking very highly of FPX coming into this tournament if they could get their players there. Sligetti's finally there, and he honestly has been such a revelation for this team. And Fnatic, for some reason, like, whenever they find themselves on LAN, despite all of what's happened into the tournament about them looking so good and almost looking unbeatable at times, they come to LAN and they're just not quite the same team. I mean, Inter was making plays like this to still make things happen in overtime. They somehow brought this back on the Split. Man, Split always delivers some bangers, right? It is sad to see it go, honestly. I'm not really sure what right we're thinking there. But anyway, Fnatic do somehow win game 1, but then FPX just say, okay, you know, whatever. We're just going to absolutely steamroll them the rest of the series. The entire team turned up, and it really wasn't long before, I mean, the bind was swiftly over, and then it went straight to a fracture on the final rounds, like a very similar map set, to be honest, to what we saw before. And yeah, Artist gets a nice little 4K here. Fnatic seems kind of shell-shocked at times, and yeah, they couldn't bring themselves back into it. I think a bit more experience, honestly, from the FPX side. The IGLing of, like, Angel as well, the amount of experience he has, maybe was a difference maker in this series. And I mean, yeah, rather different story to what we often see online between these two teams. And I mean, yeah, FPX, what a performance from them, even as Artist kind of points this out, right? Everyone was saying that Fnatic were going to win this series, but it's FPX that come out on top anyway. So I honestly thought that they could make a serious run here, even without their full team. Now they've got their full team, like, they seem to be playing on absolute domination modes. And although Fnatic haven't looked that good, in fairness, in the last couple of rounds, they still, you know, still a difficult team to beat as well. So, I mean, yeah, FPX, what a performance from them. They guaranteed themselves onto top 3. Fnatic might have to wait for a top tier victory. Of course, they're going to be at the World Championship as well. But, I mean, yeah, I thought they'd do better than this. But I thought they'd certainly do better than top 4. Not how it worked out. Shout out to Sligetto as well. 72 and 41 over the series. Monstrous ACS numbers, plus 31. And they will play OpTic. That's the key game of today. I'm guessing because this is an elimination game, it's going to be a best of 5. 1 game today, 1 game tomorrow. OpTic versus FPX. Like, I mean, look, or whatever I say, it's going to be wrong. I'm actually going to take FPX this time. I think FPX are just firing on all cylinders. I'm really impressed by the way they've played this entire low bracket run since losing to Fnatic first time around. And I'm going to take FPX 3-1 to make it through to the finals, but more than likely tomorrow I'll be talking about who's going to win between PaperX and OpTic. But very much enjoying your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us YouTube gods, this is a good video. I'd also like you should see it as well. And I'll grow the competitive Valorant community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.